under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, so we're first going to start with the caucus. So I plan to be nominated for a position on the board, so I would like to appoint Courtney as chair of the caucus. And with her being chair, I was going to see if Lacey could take notes. So first, we would like to know if there's any objections to Courtney being the chair of the caucus. So all in favor, can we just raise our hands? Is everyone okay with that? If Courtney's chair of caucus?
For anyone who doesn't know, I'm Courtney.
Oh, thank you. Okay, so we have no objections then as far as letting Courtney be the chair of the caucus.
Okay.
Okay, perfect. We'll let Courtney take it over from here.
All right. So before we get started, I just want to quickly go over how the caucus is going to be run and what the point of the caucus is for anyone who's maybe new and doesn't know what's happening. So for municipalities, there's two different ways people can get on the ballot in April. One of them is nomination papers, where you have to go around and collect signatures from your fellow townspeople to get on the ballot in April. And then one of them is a caucus, which is what we're doing tonight, which is basically where your fellow townspeople nominate you for the position. And then you're on the ballot in April. Each position that is on the ballot can have up to 2 candidates. So we're going to start with chairperson tonight. 2 people can be on the ballot in April, but as many people as you want can be nominated tonight. And if more than 2 are nominated, we will hold a vote tonight to narrow that down to 2 people. Anyone who is a qualified elector for the town of Westfield can nominate, second, or vote tonight. A qualified elector does not need to be registered to vote. You just have to be qualified to vote in the town of Westfield. So you have to have lived here for 28 days. You cannot be currently serving a felony sentence. And you have to be over the age of 18. So,
and a citizen.
Yep, and yes, I'm sorry, a resident of the town of Westfield. So that's what we're doing tonight is the caucus. I want to remind everyone that we are all adults here, so please keep things civil tonight. If someone is nominated that you don't care for, that you don't want to be nominated, no comments need to be made. We're going to keep this orderly. I ask if you're going to be nominating someone to please raise your hand so that I will call on you. It does not matter what order people are nominated in. If more than one person is going to be on the ballot tonight, we will flip a coin for ballot placement. So what order people are nominated in does not matter, okay? When you raise your hand to nominate someone, you will say, I nominate this person. That person's name is then going to be written down by Lacey. We also need your name, and then that nomination has to be seconded by someone else. You can nominate or second for yourself also. So you can nominate yourself, or you can say, I second my own nomination. And that is fine as well. But again, we just want to do it orderly, and we want to give Lacey time to write these things down. The next thing that actually, I know, Carol, was there anything that I missed going over that we talked about? Okay. All right, so the next thing that we have to do is appoint 2 tellers. So the tellers would be, if we do have to narrow down to 2 people, they will help hand out ballots and collect ballots and then count the votes so we can narrow it down to 2 people for any one position. Is there anyone in here who would like to volunteer to be a teller? It's very simple, you're just handing out ballots and picking them up and counting. But we do need 2 people to volunteer. Can we get your names, please?
Linda Baum.
Yes, please. All right, and your name?
Mabel Yankee.
Thank you. I don't know.
Maybe, can you spell your name?
Mabel.
Yeah, okay.
Janke.
All right, and then anyone else that wants to be a teller that is upset that they didn't get the chance to do it? Otherwise, everyone who is okay with Linda and Mabel being tellers, please raise your hand. Okay, perfect. So we will go on. So the determination of nomination methods. So there are methods that we can do. We can pass out a ballot and everyone writes down the person that they want nominated for the position, and then we have to collect those and count them. The much easier way to do this is from the floor, which, like I said, you'll raise your hand, I'll call on you, you state the name of the person you want to be nominated. Is there anyone who has an objection to doing it by voice? Okay, perfect, that's what we're going to do then. Yes. All right. And then determination of voting method, so if we do have to vote, it will be a secret ballot on a piece of paper. That way no one has to be concerned about being discriminated against for the way you're going to vote for someone. So the first thing I'm gonna do then is open the floor to nominations for the position of town chairperson. So do we have any nominations for the position of town chairperson? Please raise your hand if you'd like to nominate someone. Yes?
Gary Schaefer, I'd like to nominate Carol Golish.
All right. Is there a second for the nomination of Carol Golish for town chairperson? All right, who is that back there? I can't see. Is it Chris?
Yeah.
All right, any other nominations? Oh, it's Gary Schaefer and Chris Vanderbilt. Second. Yeah, seconded by Chris, yeah.
Gary, can you spell your last name?
SCHAFFER.
Thanks, Gary.
And then, yeah, just put VP for Chris. I don't know what that is. All right, any other nominations for town chair? Yes.
Oh, sorry, never mind.
Okay. All right, any other nominations for town chairperson? Any other nominations for town chairperson? All right, nominations for town chairperson are now closed. All right, I will now open the floor to nominations for the position of town supervisor 1. Yes.
Keith Vanderbilt.
All right. And can we get your name?
Dominic, D-O-M-I-N-I-C, Ferraro. F as in Frank, E-R-R-A-R-O.
All right, so we have a nomination of Keith Vandervelde for supervisor 1. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, girl seconded it. All right, any other nominations for the position of town board supervisor 1? Any other nominations for board supervisor 1? All right, nominations are now closed for board supervisor number 1. I will now open the floor to nominations for the position of town supervisor 2.
I nominate Lindsay Bauman.
All right,
Do you know my name?
I think we got it. All right, is there a second for Lindsay Bauman?
Are you Charlie or Charles?
Charles.
Okay. And do you want to spell your last name?
C-H-A-R-P-E-N-T-I-E-R.
Thank you.
All right, and then Sharon seconded it. All right, any other nominations for the position of town supervisor 2? Any other nominations for town supervisor 2? All right, nominations are now closed. I will now open the floor to nominations for the position of town clerk. Any nominations for the position of town clerk? Any? Gary?
I'd like to nominate Carrie Lee Russ.
Who was it?
Carrie Lee Russ.
Can you spell it for us?
C-A-R-I-L-E-E. Last name's R-U-S-S, as in
See. Is there a second for the nomination? Okay. Keith seconded it. All right, any other nominations for the position of town clerk? Any other nominations for the position of town clerk? All right, nominations are now closed. I will now open the floor for nominations for the position of town treasurer. Any nominations for the position of town treasurer?
I nominate Jane Lloyd.
All right, is there a second for the nomination of Jane Lloyd? Sure. Yep, nominated by Carol, second by Shar.
Shirley, can you spell your name?
C-H-A-R-L-E-N. Bennett, B-E-N-N-E-T-T.
Perfect. All right, any other nominations for the position of town treasurer? Any other nominations for town treasurer? All right, nominations are now closed. I will now adjourn the,
Make motion to adjourn.
okay, Board of Caucus, or, the caucus. Before we jump into the town board, If we can take about a 10-minute recess, I do have paperwork for the people who are nominated to please fill out, hopefully before you leave.
Okay, now we're gonna call the regular board meeting to order at 6:24. We're gonna just skip the Pledge of Allegiance because we already did that in the caucus. So we'll go on to roll call.
All right, Lindsay Bauman.
Here.
Carol Rolish.
Here.
Keith Vandervelde.
Yes, here.
Jane Lloyd. Here. And I'm here.
Perfect. Okay, so now we have public comment, with comments being limited to 2 minutes per person and 20 minutes total time. Is there anybody who has anything for public comment? Go ahead, Sharon.
Lindsay, I already talked to you about this, but I just noticed on meeting notices and agenda items and other things that there's reference being made to the Westfield Fire Department, Westfield Fire Station, also Building 2, and there's a real discrepancy in what's used from time to time. On behalf of a number of citizens who reached out to me, I contacted the State Department of Safety and Professional Services, who's indicated to me that the title of Westfield Fire Station, Westfield Fire Department, should not be used, as the Westfield Fire Station and the Westfield Fire Department are located in the village of Westfield at 124 East or West 3rd. And I just want to bring it to your attention that, maybe it should be Town Hall Annex 2 or Town Hall something or other, but if it's continued to use, any one of the citizens who reached out to me can certainly file an official complaint with the state, and they would conduct an investigation. All I said I would do is that I would just reach out and bring it to your attention. There is no longer, this is not the Westfield Fire Station, it's not the Westfield Fire Department, and it's a direct conflict of interest, especially when it's showing up on some of the election postings.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it was a fire station, so that's what I've been calling it. I didn't know what you guys
We were
call
calling it Building 2 for want of a better
Is
name.
that
the
what
old fire
everyone kind of
station.
knows it as Building 2? Is I
If
don't
there's
know.
no, I object to building number 2. I would rather it be Town Hall Annex.
Which I think would be good
I think that
too.
would be fitting.
I mean, why not?
You don't have a building 2 number on here.
Yeah.
No.
They had a number put on, so just
We just pulled that out, to use in referencing the building before, so.
Okay,
Yeah.
yeah.
I just
So,
wanted to
okay,
bring
I'll
it
put that
to
on
all
my
of your
list as well.
attention
Yes,
that,
thank you. And then, will you adjust the election?
Yep, I will.
ones and
Yeah.
going, and then we'll just get them all reposted again.
thank you.
Okay,
Yeah,
perfect.
thank you.
Is there any other public comment? Anybody else have anything else? All right, well, with that, we'll move on to reviewing and approving the December 16th regular board meeting minutes.
I make a motion to approve the Town of Westfield December 16th minutes as printed.
I'll second. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Okay, the chair's report. I did get a fire department report from 2024. There was 95 calls total from the Westfield Fire Department. There was motor vehicle accidents. Now these are in the town of Westfield. So for motor vehicle accidents, there was 4. Wildland fire, there was 1. Structure fire, 2. EMS assist, 8. CO, 1. Vehicle fire, 1. And other, 1. Totaling 18 total calls in 2024. I don't have one just for December, but I got the year-end report. And that's what we have for that. Any questions or anything on the fire department report? All right, well, with that said, we'll move on to the clerk's report.
A couple of things. So for anyone who doesn't know, there will be a February election in the entire state for the state superintendent of public instruction. There are 3 candidates on the ballot. That is the only thing that will be on the ballot in the town of Westfield. So we will have a primary. That date will be February 18th. I will be doing just one-hour session of in-person absentee voting I believe I scheduled it for Tuesday the 4th from 5:30 to 6:30. I do have it on the website as well. If there is someone who wants to do in-person absentee voting early and cannot make that hour, feel free to reach out to me and I will do it by appointment as well. So that's the election update. I also...
Can I ask a question on
Yes,
that?
sorry.
We have 3 candidates for state superintendent. How do we find out who those candidates are and what they're about?
I would start on the elections page. So
The state-
elections.wi.gov, yes. And start there, because off the top of my head, I don't even know if candidates are named, which ones they are. And you can look them up, and I assume that they will all have a campaign website. It'll be, you know, whoever it is, campaign website. And you'll be able to look them up and what their platform is.
But there's nothing on our website.
No, it's not common for a state position like that for municipalities or even counties to have links to that information. It would go through the state because it's a state race. You had called me and asked me to call Kirshner's about filling the LP. They said we took our tank out in 2011 and we can't fill another company's tank. Kirshner's has agreed to refund us our money because we're not going to use it most likely. I did call L&L Propane and they are going to come fill our tank for us.
So once we get our money, that's good.
Yep, so Kirshner's has agreed to refund that money for us. I also wanted to give a quick update on the LRIP money that we're still waiting on. I believe I did forward you all an email. I reached out to Brian again, and he said that it's kind of a statewide problem, that the state has been delayed in giving out their LRIP money. He said there was a question with our application, it was like a distance calculation or something. He said he fixed that, but he said there were people who had applied before us that there were no questions on, and they still haven't gotten their money yet. So unfortunately, we're still just waiting on the state. But I wanted to let you guys know that I did follow up with Brian again last week.
Is that going to be a check or is that a direct deposit?
It comes as a direct deposit. As far as the last one did, I
The
should say.
11,000 came as a direct
Yeah,
deposit.
the 12 did, yeah. Yep. And then I also wanted to point out to the board members in your packet, and I had sent you an email that there are new expense and revenue reports that I have created for you. So the 2024 ones are in here, and then the 2025 started ones are, so this is what your expense one looks like. You will notice the column that says pending vouchers, so that is our budget-related vouchers that are being signed for this month. You'll notice that does not match the voucher amount that you are signing. That's because the vouchers include tax payments. Those are not part of your budget. So, but again, I've got your 2024 numbers in there for you. If you notice any problems, I sent you guys the entire workbook so that you can look at those if you have questions, or you can certainly talk to me. But that way you guys know how those are created. And that's all I have on the clerk's report.
Okay, then we'll move on to the treasurer's report. Jane, go ahead.
Okay, Courtney, I'm looking at this budget right now and it's not matching my numbers. So this is 2024?
The one that says 2024 at the top, yeah.
And this is through December?
So the budget for 2024 is $559,352.02, which, I mean, that's close, but, and then our total expenses last year for 2024 were $677,824.16,
Okay.
not including that $199,000 highway that was
Right,
still
and mine
owed.
doesn't either.
So,
We'll have to get together and compare. I can send you the workbook I used and you can look at it, or we can get together and talk about them.
okay,
We don't need to make everyone sit here while we
okay, so
confirm every single number that we put in.
so if you handed these out, mine are a little bit different.
Okay.
We weren't that far
The
behind.
budget number I pulled off of our budget worksheet from this year that showed what last year's budget was.
I went through it all in detail and I was going crazy because the numbers didn't quite jive. So I was hoping that we could have a chance to not detail here, but to sit down and talk about what they are. Because
Yeah,
I think that the report, I like this format on this report. This gives us our financial statement, says here, these are all our revenues, our expenses, and this is the deficit that we have, and it also has our cash flow
Yeah.
information. It needs to be accurate, it needs to have everything included in it, because I know we've written a check, and the check isn't showing up on this report, I guess, and isn't showing up on your report, so I don't know why the check isn't there. Also, we have expenses that we incur, they come out of our checkbook for like EFTs or ACHs or whatever you want to call it, that should be on our vouchers. So when I look at the voucher, if I add up all 12 vouchers, I should then be able to come up with the total for the state, or for the year.
You should. And I
It doesn't
have
happen.
noticed some weird things, like the rack space that comes out. There were a couple months where that did not come out of our bank
I know.
account. The payments to Jeremy Albright for recycling, we only paid 10 of them last year.
Right.
I went through and because I went through QuickBooks on every single thing and I re-looked at every single bank statement from last year and that's where I got these totals from. And as you'll see on the workbook I sent you, it is broken down into sheets on each line has its own sheet and it's itemized.
And I saw that, I thought that was
Yeah.
really, probably a good exercise for you, but that's a whole lot of work to have to do.
Well, now that it's set up, it's not, but
Okay.
It should all come on the report.
yeah.
And I have it on Quicken as well. I
Well,
bought these numbers.
I hope you're moving over to QuickBooks.
I am. I'm
Okay.
just getting started, but I'm starting this year going forward.
Right.
Because I've been really busy with taxes and I didn't have time. So going forward, I will be on QuickBooks.
So you're saying 25, you're starting QuickBooks?
Yeah,
Okay.
online.
Yeah.
But everything I have, my reports match my Quicken. So,
Right, so I'm assuming that they do, but maybe we get into classification issues, or we have something we don't know how to handle, so I don't know where it goes.
Yeah, and that's
So I would
very
like to be a
possible.
part of that, so I
Yeah.
understand what is happening in the books.
Yeah.
Because I think a question has come up on what financial information should we be posting on the website? And I want, whatever we do decide that to be posted, I want it to be accurate, that people can rely on.
Yeah. Yeah, so I think the first step is Jane and I should get together and go over and make sure our numbers match, and then we can meet with you and go over if we're putting everything in the correct category where you think it
Yeah,
should.
well, because I did a schedule, but it doesn't,
Yeah.
it doesn't jive with.
Yeah, and
what we
sometimes
wanna
there are
do.
those weird expenses that you're like, does that go under a legislative, or is it just a miscellaneous expense? So, yeah, it's
I hear you.
sometimes just a guessing game.
so the ending checkbook balance as of 2024 was $584,146.46. That was into one account. And then, I don't know what you call it, money market or whatever it is, our other account is $15,456.24. So a grand total of $599,602.70 at the end of December was in our checking account.
You got anything else for us, Jane?
No, I think that's it.
Alrighty. Anybody else have any questions? You good?
Move to approve.
What? We're gonna review and authorize the monthly vouchers. And
Have you
that's
approved the treasurer's?
No,
so then that's this updated one, right?
Yeah, the updated one is the one from last month. I'm sorry, I should have said that. So there are two voucher lists in your packets tonight. One of them is the updated December one, because at that meeting, we approved those two additional ones on there. So I just printed you an updated one, and I have a new one for you to sign. And then there's the one from the January 2025, which is all the checks that I have tonight.
Okay.
so I have a question on this, stands out big time to me, is the January 2025 meeting, you have a check summary, it has some ACHs on, so that's good. For a total to be paid of $730,000. If we only have $584,000 in our checking account, how do we do that?
Some of the taxes that were paid in December were not deposited until January. So right now, there's actually about 1.2 million in the checking account.
Okay, so the 1.2 million in the checking account. How do we know how much of that is ours versus the other taxing authorities?
I have a list, I don't have it with me, I think I have the email. So she reports to Jody, yeah, she might have the thing
I am.
from Jody. She reports to Jody how much was collected, and then the county sends a report to me that says this is how much you have to pay, and this is how much the town keeps.
Right, I saw that one has a January 6th.
Oh,
That
yeah.
still wasn't enough money to pay this bill, so that's why I'm asking. Because I know we have to pay the county bill, and I don't know if we have
The
enough
money
money.
bill?
Right.
Yeah.
I don't know if we have enough money, our money in our account to pay that bill. Until February.
I would say that to be safe, you should wait till February.
Okay.
Yeah, I would say to be safe, you should wait till we do the February 7th.
Because we're not paying any interest on that bill, are we? So
No,
the-
no.
And I think they
The
know that
county's
we're
just
kind of
waiting
waiting on
for-
that LREP money. I mean, I think that's why they're
The
not.
county's waiting for the LREP money for everybody, so.
Yeah, so they know, like,
can
we're
just-
waiting on that money to be able to pay that bill.
I just want to make sure that we don't lose it and that we're keeping people informed
Right,
on what's going on.
right. Yep, and I thought that might be a question, that these are more than what was in the account. But yes, there is, I just checked when I got here too, to make sure. And yeah, it's 1.299, I believe, is what's in our checking account. And yeah, that's mostly tax collection.
And now, there is no fourth quarter payroll taxes on this report.
No, there is not, because I did it last month. I did it after our meeting last month. So what I did was I calculated payroll, calculated how much the taxes were going to be, and then I had that check written last month. So it is actually on the December one, if you want to look at the
No,
update.
that's fine, I just,
Yeah. I do them the last month of the quarter, because that way, number one, I don't forget to do it, and, actually, yeah, in this town, that's the reason I do it, so that I don't forget to do it. I do it when I do payroll.
okay. And then we also have a check here for Kimberly Berry. My understanding is the contract was signed by Kevin. And-
The
Carol,
check
speak up
size-
just a little louder.
Okay, Kimberly Berry, we're writing a check out to Kimberly. This contract is an independent contractor for snow plowing that was signed by Kevin Berry. And I'm not sure, it's fishy to me as to why have one person signing the contract and somebody else getting the check. What is in the W-9?
So I wondered that as well. So his 1099 is to Kevin, but the checks that I found in the old QuickBooks system were all going to Kimberly. So that's where I put this one to.
I know, do you have a W-9?
Not that I can pull out at this very moment, no.
Can you go check the W-9, because the W-9 is the taxpayer identification information that we should be using
Yeah.
for payment.
Do you want me to rewrite that check or pay it next month instead? Do you want to pull that one out?
I don't want to approve it now until we know, because to me, it's not right when you have the check should be made out to the taxpayer identified on the W-9. And if you don't know what it is, then please check.
Are they partners in business, husband and wife?
It's a husband and
Do
wife.
you know anything on that, with the snow plowing contract or anything?
I know there was a reason for it, I do not recall.
Okay, so maybe we can even reach out to them too and see.
Was there?
They are
W-9
kind of
with
partners,
this
but
contract?
she works with him.
They're partners.
Well, she works with him
Their
on
husband and
this.
wife then?
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
husband and wife.
Okay.
Yeah.
But
Well, I'm assuming that they have to, you
They
can give them a
file.
1099.
well, that's why you should use, that's why we should use the information on the 1099. Well, it'll be the W-9, because that's
Well, it would be made out to both people.
whatever's on the W-9.
Did they order over $600?
Who has all the W-9s?
I
I don't.
I have not seen a W-9 for him, unless, like I said, it's in that pile of contracts.
No,
but
it wasn't.
yeah, no, I've never seen a W-9.
So then, let's just hold the
Okay.
check
That's a good news.
and not get a
Except for the
W-9. I
Yeah.
think get a W-9 figured out.
Okay, so I will pull that one out, and then you guys, the rest of them?
I make a motion to pay the January vouchers on the report in the amount of $730,714.69 minus the $125.
I'll second that motion. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye, opposed, motion passes. Okay, on to the old business now. Discussion and possible action on furnace maintenance. Carol, Jim's got something on this.
Okay, here. Hope you're all comfortable. The boiler is doing its job, it's heating the building.
Speak up,
I can hear.
please, I can hear.
Talk louder, Jim.
Well, then it echoes more.
That's okay.
Oh, okay, you don't want to understand, that's fine. Okay, the boiler's doing its job, you can tell the room is warm. The controller is what failed originally, and that has arrived at the vendor. However, in pre-reading the instructions, he realized that we needed one more part. And so now we're waiting for that other part. Once the part gets here, we'll install the new control system and everything will be tremendous. But right now, we're running on a temporary control circuit, and that's doing its job. And we just would prefer to have the proper controller on it. That should be a little more efficient for us. So hopefully by next month, I can tell you that it's all taken care of.
Okay, anything else on furnace maintenance? Alrighty, that being said, we will move on to letter D, discussion and possible action on changing the town attorney. So at the last meeting, we had talked about contacting a couple other attorneys to see where they're at as far as price-wise and how many years of experience and stuff like that. So I did reach out to 2 other offices. Curran Law Office is out of Boston. There's John Orton there, who has 43 years of experience. John would be $250 per hour. He did mention if we wanted a younger associate in his firm, that it would be around $200 for a younger associate. Just to compare, Eric Larson is at $221 per hour right now is what we're paying. I think that includes the increase that we just had in November. And then I also reached out to Miller & Miller out of Portage, and they are $195 per hour, and they represent quite a few towns and villages. However, they also represent the village of Westfield. So if there's anything with a fire department, I'm not sure how that would go. I mean, I'm sure we'd have to figure out.
It's a conflict that they would not give us an opinion. They couldn't represent the village and represent us.
I don't know if we would each be able to sign something, and then have him negotiate with both of us or not.
How can they represent both of us? No.
They
You don't want to
can't,
do
but
that.
the village would fight that, actually.
Okay.
Jesse Spankowski is with them, and the Lawrence Lake Protection excuse me, I'm interrupting.
No, that's okay.
The Lawrence Lake Protection Rehabilitation District also has their firm, so the potential for conflict of interest is really pretty good chance.
So we should really just keep that one out of the pool then?
So we're at 225 and
Right now with Eric Larson, it's $221. If we switch to Boston, for the one with 43 years of experience, John, it would be $250 an hour. If you wanted the younger one, it would be $200 an hour.
I think we just wait until we have a need for it and decide who we're going to call. Just keep checking around.
Right, yeah, and I can reach out to a couple other ones
Yeah.
too if we wanted to keep reaching out.
You have the holidays against you and everything else, it's
Right.
see what you can find out.
And you have a written agreement with Larson, so you would have to kind of cancel that and then
oh yeah, we know that.
make a formal change.
Sure, yeah.
So I
And
mean,
he had-
waiting until another thing comes up, I don't know. That's
Right,
the
and
best
he
way
had
for you to
mentioned that he
handle
would like to resign, so I'd like to give him that opportunity. I think that would be fair for him to resign versus us being like, we're canceling. But I guess for now, do we just want to sit where we're at and
Yes, I think
wait for something to come up and we can
there's
just
no real advantage,
take it off the agenda
financial
for the time
advantage to
being?
change.
I think we could just remove it from the agenda
Right,
for the time being and
Yeah,
move on.
until we need it.
Okay. Perfect. So we have discussion and possible action on internet setup for the fire department building, but we're gonna call it building 2 or
No,
the
the
town hall?
town hall annex.
Town hall annex, sorry, so the town hall annex.
I met with Greg Warner on January 15th. He came in to assess what we have over in the town hall, and he came in and looked to see what we have here, like where the cables go and all that kind of stuff. We are scheduled for him to move the equipment move the necessary equipment out of the town hall into this building, and that will occur on this coming Thursday. So Gary, 8:30, 9 o'clock is when he's planning on coming here.
Okay.
That answers your question.
We need internet for the election in February?
No, I don't.
We don't need internet for the machine. machine to run it?
No, and Carol asked me before she scheduled
Okay.
too, but no, the machine is not connected to the internet.
Okay.
Yeah, Courtney was on the phone with Greg Warner, just to make sure that I was giving him the right information on what was needed here to
Sure.
do what we had to do.
Okay, okay, well, that's good. And you said that was Thursday morning?
Thursday morning, 8:30.
Okay, I can try and be here too.
Well, he said 8:39, so it depends on how they do their coffee.
And what notification do we have to give that the election site is moved?
So we're good, that's actually on
That's
the,
coming up.
That's on the agenda,
Yeah,
right?
it's coming up.
Okay, then we will move on to discussion and possible action on the fire department audit investigation.
Have we heard anything new since last month?
no, so I went last week and talked directly to the Marquette County District Attorney, and he has never heard of this before. He said, I've never heard of this, I haven't gotten any information about it. To me, and to him, it sounds like a dead issue. But either way, it's out of the town's hands. I mean, this was referred to the sheriff's office, it is no longer something that the town can say yes or no about once it's been determined, or once it's been turned over for criminal investigation. I mean, there's nothing the town can do other than wait and see if something eventually does come of it, unfortunately. So to kind of recap, I had initially contacted the Marquette County Sheriff's Office. They said we referred it to Green Lake County, I'm assuming due to conflicts. I contacted Green Lake County. The first time I talked to them, it was still ongoing. The second time, they said they referred it to the Marquette County District Attorney. The Marquette County District Attorney said, nope, I don't have any information on it. I don't know who to talk to then. If Green Lake says Marquette has it, Marquette says we don't have it, I don't know who else to call. The district attorney said, when I explained this to him, said, look, kind of sounds like it's a dead issue.
Let's just leave it alone until we hear something.
That's what I'm
And
thinking.
again, I don't think that the town is going to do anything at this point. It's been turned over for investigation. It's not a town issue anymore.
I just wanted to make sure that it is a dead issue, but.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sharon, do you know something that
I
we
do.
don't? Okay, okay.
Hang on.
No,
I wanna-
it's not a dead issue, I'm making, it's a
I wanna
reasonable
know-
comment, Carol, she gave me the floor. It's still open, all right? Whether the DA in Marquette County, the actual people who were investigating, the sheriff,
In Green Lake County?
yeah, the person who was doing the investigation.
Okay.
And you know what, I'm just gonna waylay all of your fears. The only person who can be charged on anything to do with this audit is Jim Johnson, because he was the fire chief. But you have to look back and you have to ask yourself how many receipts or what proof there was of all the funds that went missing, all right? Because there weren't receipts and other records, the assumption is that it went here or went there. There's only one charge that they could make against Jim Johnson, and it's for all of the lanterns that he purchased, got reimbursed for, and then took out with him when he was emptying his personal property. There's photos of that, there's a receipt for showing that he got paid. Basically, what the town would be looking at if this moves forward, or the DA would look at moving forward, would be $500 and some cents that he would have to reimburse to the town. That's it. There's no other accountability, no proof of receipts. All we know is that the money was gone when they did the audit, okay? So it's gonna be $500 and some cents because they had proof of that, or it's going to be nothing.
Where's all the paperwork for that? Where's the proof?
That all went to the Marquette County Sheriff's
Why don't we
Department.
have copies of it?
Exactly.
I have copies of the audit, no, I don't have it in my purse.
There should have been.
I have copies of the
We should
audit.
have copies of everything that we sent over.
Should have been turned over.
There
to
were
the new
multiple
chair.
people who had it, and everybody on the board was given a copy of at the audit of what we sent
The
over.
audit is on the website
And
under
that's
notice.
fine, but the
of
audit has nothing in here about lanterns. There's nothing about, in here about lanterns, so what
It was
that,
LED lights, my apologies.
there's nothing in there about lanterns.
They went through the files, which are in that storage room back there. The accounting firm did, and then they prepared their reports, and then they came up with that item. And then when the Department of Justice and everything looked at it, they agreed that Jim Johnson was the only person who could be held accountable because he was the fire chief per statute. But the only item that they could account for were these LED lights, and that's it.
Okay, but I just think that the town should have copies of this.
Well, it's either with Brenda's stuff or it should be in the fire department files in the
In
storage
the audit,
building.
if you go to our town website, go to notices and news, go to March 11th, and the audit is on there. It's on the
Has every
website.
copy that
But
they
the
got, we
audit,
have a copy?
I'm telling you, I have here, I've read it. I read it again, and I read it again. There is nothing in here about any missing lights. So, what
I'm
she's
just trying to
asking
tell
for,
you what they're looking
Well, how do
for.
you know that information? If she can't get any information about it, how do you know all that?
Because I was a former town chairperson.
I
Who
understand
turned
that.
over all the records, and I can get information at times that other people
do you
can't.
have any records in your possession that should have been turned over to the chair, because you're no longer the chair?
That's another topic I see here on the agenda, right? And I've already talked to Lindsay. And Courtney.
So are we good to move on to the fire department audit investigation?
It's out of our hands.
Do we want to take it off of the agenda until we hear anything else about it and
Yes.
stop bringing it up at every, in my opinion, I think it should come
Yeah,
off. and-
take it off the agenda,
Okay.
future agendas.
And if something comes up, we'll add it back on, but until then, we'll leave it off. Because it's out of our hands, we can't do anything about it, and sitting here arguing is not going to fix the problem. Okay, so we'll move on to update on the missing town records. Carol, I believe you wanted that added back on.
Right, because I'd like to know what's happening with the records. I did have, a tote over there that I sorted through all the records, and Courtney is now getting it organized into the file cabinets. And I did find a copy of the agreement for the snow plowing, but there was no W-9 with it. I did not find a copy of any agreement for rack space, recycling, the county, the assessor. So there are contracts that are missing, and I don't know if you have them.
Everything I have is here, but I think Sharon had mentioned, and it made me think, for the Kim and Barry thing, I don't think they probably get more than $600 a year, so I
It
guess
does
they've
not
done-
matter. It does not matter. You're supposed to have a W-9, just like we have to have a W-4. You have to have a W-9 filled out.
You
Just
do?
in case
No.
you,
I don't think you do, Carol.
I think you
if
do.
they make more
Not-
than 600,
not if
then
it's-
I need it.
You don't have to give them a 1099 unless they make more than 600 or more.
that's for the 1099, but you have to have a taxpayer identification number before then. Just like you have to have a W-4.
You don't have to have that on file if you're not paying them more than $600.
How do you know if you're gonna pay them more than 600?
Well, you don't know, I
But
suppose.
but see, well, what do you do? As soon as they get to 600, you say, oh, now give me a W-9?
Well, yeah, you'd have to, yeah. have
You
them fill out a
do it
W-9.
ahead of time. Every place I've worked,
Oh, you can.
every place I've worked, when you come in as an independent contractor, you sign the contract, and then you do your taxpayer identification information. We don't even know we don't have a social security number for them, we have nothing. And it's not a way to do business.
Okay,
We can
that's
request
fine,
it.
yeah.
Yeah, maybe we'll just ask for.
Yeah, you can just request all the ones you don't have. I mean,
Do you have-
Right, we should have it on record. But we have these missing contracts, and I'm just like, okay, I do know that the recycling agreement is supposed to be coming up for renewal.
It already did,
Recycling?
yes.
Fine, where's the copy of it?
You can reach out to Pat Kilby or, well, yeah, he oversees all that. It's a 5-township agreement.
We signed the county agreement, but I'd like to look at it to see what we have in terms of terms and conditions, and I don't have a copy of it. So I'm
Reach
asking-
out to Pat Kilby, he oversees that recycling program.
we have,
who's reaching out? Are you Courtney?
I can.
I didn't find anything related to financials, like bank statements or deposits or backup, but I did find a strange document like a straight document, that I can explain to you what the $600 is. It looks like we had a pumps and equipment repurchased a pump from the town of Westfield and paid us $600 in cash. It was just a stray piece of paper on a stack of stuff, so it's like,
That's the receipt I gave to Brenda with the $600 in cash. I did send you
So
an
the
email.
$600
So the
did go in as cash, but then it
It's a
was,
separate thing totally from that $600 you're questioning. The $600, I'm sorry, do you want me to?
No, go ahead.
The $600
You know something, go ahead.
in cash was for what they bought the pump back for. Because the pump sat for a couple years in the building in there, it got damaged. The hoses that were around it actually stuck and embedded themselves into the pump. So it can't be resold like that. All right, so they agreed to purchase it back for some of the parts, whatever the casing that they could use. That $600 was cash. The $600 that you're seeing deducted from the bank statement was an addition, error in the deposit slip. And if you look at the bank statement where it shows
I'll
this,
have to pull that.
it references a check.
I'll have to pull that up.
So it was a totally separate, I put it in my email to you, it was totally separate from the $600 pump.
Okay, I'll have to.
Had
look
nothing to
that
do
up.
with it.
I did find, Carol's deposit slip, so I'll have to look at it and I'll double check.
Yeah,
everything.
there's one for, I gave you the date for
Okay.
the deposit slip.
Okay,
You just look at it, what I sent you.
yeah, I'll just double check everything. I kind of.
But they're two separate transactions. The
Okay.
one 600 had nothing to do with the other.
Okay, I'll double check that then.
Do you have anything else for Tom?
I'd like to figure out how we're gonna get a copy of the contracts.
Do you have a list of the contracts that we're looking for, or that are in question?
Well, rack space, recycling, the county transportation, and the assessor.
Okay, I'll see if I can come across any of these, looking in places that they might be, or asking questions, or seeing where we can come across something.
You could probably go online for rack space and.
That's what I was thinking, online, or even Fred Postema might have something for us, because I know he keeps a
I was
really
gonna suggest Fred.
close eye on that. The assessor, I'm assuming if we contact
John
John,
Braden
he should be able
something.
I think we have that. I know we had it.
to get something from.
We had to have it.
And then the county transportation, is that like the highway department or what? Okay, okay.
Everybody was given a copy of that. Wrong. Carol, you had asked to have changes made to it, so.
Okay, all right, well, I will.
We have
go
it.
ahead and-
Okay,
We have
let's
it.
rephrase this. I would like to see a signed contract,
Okay,
not a draft.
okay, signed contracts.
The highway department would have that. Brenda Peterson should be able to get that to you
Sure.
directly.
Yeah, I would think so
And you
too.
want-
She.
And you want a copy of the waste management?
Yes,
Jeremy?
Jeremy
It
Allen.
doesn't be Jeremy, but.
But that's the one Pat Kilby does, you said?
Yeah, he's the one
I
who
could be
indicates the
his
funds and stuff.
Okay.
I'll reach out
Yeah.
to Pat.
Okay,
You want to talk to Pat or want me to?
Oh, go ahead, you
I'll
got it.
take care of it.
Yeah, Courtney's like, nope, go right ahead.
okay, alrighty, well, I will see what documents we can come across, or what signed contracts we can come across for, can we maybe do like a slash on the agenda, update on missing town records, and then put contracts or something, just to make it a little bit clearer and make it sound a little bit better, and, I mean, we don't have to list them all out, but maybe just references as contracts at this point. Okay, anything else on missing town records? Carol, you got anything else?
That's all I know that's not available.
Okay, okay, then we'll move on to new business, discussion and possible action on moving elections to the town hall annex.
Okay, so, town board has to vote anytime you wanna move a polling location, so the board has to vote to move the polling location to this annex building. It will not take effect until the April election. The deadline to actually get the vote done for the February election was yesterday.
But back in November, we did vote and said we're moving all the operations out of that building into this building.
The vote was to move meetings, I believe.
Well, it was to shut the building down, which would mean you have to move everything out. So it was not very clear.
It's not very clear, but
But-
elections should have been specified then.
But
with
we
the
asked,
money.
but I do know we asked if we could move the elections over here, because I know you told us we could.
Yes, you can move them, it just requires
But you
a
didn't.
vote, which at the time I didn't know.
Okay,
because I've never been
We're
part of a
not-
town that has moved an election.
but we're not going to move everything back in there so we can do the elections there. We'll put a sign on the door over there saying, go over there 15 feet and vote.
Then you're opening yourself up to a lawsuit.
But it's the same, it's the
Actually,
same,
you're
ad-
opening me up to
it's
a
the same
lawsuit,
address
is what
though.
you're doing.
It's the same address.
And it's
If you
funny
s-
because I brought that up to the county clerk and said, it's the same address, do we actually have to hold a vote on it? And she said, yes, because you're moving buildings. Because I had the same reaction, I said, it's the same address, like, people are coming, what's the difference? It's the same address. And she said, yeah, you still have to have a vote specifying that you're.
How much
election.
stuff are we talking about? A couple tables?
I think probably a couple tables and then the voting machine.
Yeah.
Is that,
Oh, that's not bad.
And turning the heat back on.
What?
Ahead of time. And we have to turn the heat back on.
How come,
Get the
how
building.
come we aren't using that building anyway? Why are we in here?
Because this one heats better.
We have to heat this one.
so I think to save ourselves from a lawsuit, the February election, or
What
to say
is-
Courtney, we should
No,
just.
no, what is the penalty for not doing it?
Why risk it, Carol?
Why
It's
risk
not
it?
worth
Can
it.
I ask what the penalty is?
You'll get sued, I don't know, I mean, a townsperson could sue the town and sue me for election negligence, is that the word I'm looking for? You could file a complaint with the elections commission, like has been done multiple times in this town, and I am not willing to take that chance with my reputation.
I move that we move the things over for that election and that we pass, that this becomes the election site in the future.
I'll second that motion. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Okay, so just so everybody knows, the February one is gonna be over there. Anything after February will be over here. All right, moving on to discussion and possible action on changing to a .gov domain. Courtney had information on that as well.
Yeah, so this is, I forwarded you guys an email, I think, from the State Elections Commission. So it is not required right now that you change to a .gov domain. I think at some point it will be required, but it is not right now. But the only reason I bring it up right now is because the Elections Commission does have a $600 grant available to municipalities to switch to either .gov or .wi.gov. The difference being the .wi.gov one is handled by the state and .gov is handled by the federal government.
As opposed to what we're using now.
Yeah, you're using .com right now, which is anyone can use, but .gov.
$600?
Yep, it's a $600 grant, and it would help cover the cost of transitioning to that .gov or wi.gov. And it can help cover the cost if you have to keep running your current domain. Like you might want to keep your .com domain for 3 or 4 months to forward your emails until everyone gets used to your new email addresses and things like that. So it would cover the cost of having to keep that second domain for a few months. Again, you don't have to do this. I am just telling you guys that it's available to do. So it's completely up to you guys. I have looked into how to do it. It certainly is a process, but I would be willing to start that process for you guys and get it rolling. But again, it's not required right now. Just throwing it out there as something you guys can
What's
do.
the benefit?
They are more secure. Only governments can use a .gov, so it verifies you as a government entity as opposed to a .com, which anyone can sign up for. And again, at some point, I do believe it will be required. It is not now. Feel free to wait. I don't care either way. I mean, it doesn't make a difference to me. Like I said, I'm just telling you guys because they have the grant available.
And who's, right now, because we have the town website and we have an agreement with, I think it's Town Web, we get support. If we go to a Wisconsin domain, who's gonna give us support?
So if you do the state one, the state offers domain support, and then if you do the federal one, the federal government offers domain support. But you would still use Town Web for your website. I mean, that wouldn't change. They just have to switch where your domain registered, like when you type in the address, where that points to, what server it points to, basically.
So I guess I don't.
It's up to you guys. Like I said, I'm not trying to sway you one way or the other. I just brought it up because they sent that email saying that the grant was available.
So I mean, if there's grant money out there for it now, I don't see why we wouldn't try and
It
achieve
sounds
it.
like
if
we're
you-
gonna have to transition sometime. along.
Eventually.
And it could be next week, it could be years from now, I just know that they have talked about requiring all government entities to have a .gov at some point. Maybe they'll keep
I
pushing it
move
off,
we
who knows?
Go to .gov.
Okay, I'll second that motion. Any other discussion?
Yeah,
All in
because Courtney's
favor?
gonna do the work.
All in favor, say aye.
Courtney's like, great, more work for me.
That's okay, my best friend is an IT guy, so I've got it, don't worry.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
She's like,
Motion passes. Okay, and the last part of the new business is discussion and possible action on supporting Bertram for the BEAD grant. And that's another one that Courtney's got quite a lot of information on, so go ahead, Courtney.
Yep, so this is another email that I believe I forwarded to the board. So there are grants available that are called BEAD grants. So basically what the government did is they looked at properties, homes specifically, that they believe did not have high-speed internet or access to quality high-speed internet. And what they have done is they have made grants for those homes that go to your service provider to lay fiber cable or high-speed cable to that home. So basically these different companies are competing for that grant. They're called BEAD grants, and they're competing for that grant money to be able to run high-speed internet straight to these homes. So the grant would actually cover the cable from the line to the home as well. So these homeowners don't have to pay to run that line. In the town of Westfield, there are probably only a handful of homes that were identified as not having high-quality, high-speed internet. So really, when it comes down to it, this grant isn't necessarily affecting the town of Westfield greatly, but there are, I want to say, 5 different companies vying for grants throughout Marquette County. Bertram is one who is looking for the grant to cover the entire county, so they want to cover all of the homes that are eligible for this grant in Marquette County. Marquette Adams was another big one who I believe services town of Westfield already. But they were looking like in the area of McCann, and I want to say the village of Westfield was the other place that they were looking. So they didn't reach out to the town to get a letter of support because they're not looking to support this area any further than they already do. The other thing with Bertram is that instead of like your normal ISPs, you've got like Marquette Adams and then you've got say Frontier or something. So Marquette Adams has a line already, but now this person wants Frontier. Now Frontier has to bury their own line. Bertram runs what's called a background line, or a backbone line. So basically they run this cable and then they offer their services to any ISP that wants to run on that line. So multiple service providers can run it on this one cable that gets buried. Okay, so in my mind, what that's bringing to the town of Westfield is potential competition for service, which, as we know, competition can help bring prices down sometimes. So in my mind, that's the big plus for the town of Westfield, on top of the fact that Bertram wants to cover the whole county, and you're helping your other county residents who want and need the high-speed internet access. So Bertram is, again, the only company that's reached out to the town of Westfield, because I think they're the only ones that are looking to help the town of Westfield, you know, 6 or 12 homes that are covered by this grant. They have also told the county at their meetings that they are looking that when they lay cable in Marquette County, and I don't know if it's the whole state or if this was a Marquette County thing, but they said any fire station, EMS station, and I think town hall that they run by that does not already have high-speed internet, they would run it to the building for no cost, even if that building was not included in the grant. So if it's a public service building, they would be running the cable for free to the building for the people. The county board did vote to give a letter of support to Bertram, and they are supporting Marquette Adams as well as a local company who wants to do a lot more in Marquette County as well. So again, Bertram is just looking for support from the town of Westfield. These grants are based on a point system, and the more points that the companies get, the points that they get are based on the letters of support they get. So municipality support is worth so many points, a county is worth so many points. So they are reaching out. I think Bertram sent a letter to every municipality in the county asking for support. So they would have a better chance of getting the grant based on the support they receive. So they are just asking for a letter of support from the town. You guys can choose to support them, choose not to support them. It's up to you guys.
I move we support them.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's just a letter saying we support you, that's it.
And it
money.
might give
Carol,
us
is there a
access
second for
right
you
here.
then?
What was that?
It could give us access, more access right here in this building.
Yeah,
If they have a backbone going down the highway here, by the road.
yeah, yep,
Okay,
you're right.
okay, any other discussion?
I will talk, so I'm not quite sure what the letter of support should include, so I've already talked to Carrie Solis at the county,
There
who
was,
has,
there was a example
Oh, okay.
in there, I think.
okay, and she's done multiple of these, and she's helping the county with theirs, so she said that she'll help.
Is that Bertram, that beat grant, is that for people too, or is it just for businesses?
It just goes to the ISPs, to the service provider, so you cannot apply for it as an individual.
Okay.
It's just, the grant is based on a home, so it's based on you as a homeowner, and the grant is available for your home, but money goes to your internet service provider.
The ISPs generally don't want to put anything into the rural communities because it costs too much money to bury the cable. So for the last, I don't know, 10, 15 years, the federal government has been providing grants to ISPs so that we'll pay for the burying of the cable. You then can just do all the rest, so it becomes cost effective.
Okay, any other discussion on that? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. All right, and that's all for new business. So the upcoming meeting dates, just the regular town board meeting, February 17th, 2025, and it'll be here in the town hall annex.
Real quick.
Okay?
Okay. I should have brought it up before, I apologize. If you're going to have the February election in that building, do you want to disconnect everything going into that building?
Well, you
This
need
coming
phone
week,
and
you need
internet.
phone at
We
least.
don't need any of that.
You have to have a phone. That's not what we were told.
Who did I reach out to? The Towns Association. In fact,
They said you don't have to have a phone?
Because I
Okay.
said, because I think Lacey had brought up that she said she had heard that in a meeting place or a public meeting place like a town hall, that you have to have a phone line. And they said, no, you don't.
We were
'Cause
told it was for
I was concerned
elections,
about
yeah.
that. Oh.
I just wanted to ask that.
Yeah, they said, nope, you don't have to have a phone. And I don't, maybe that changed when cell phones became such a huge thing that they don't require it anymore, but I did reach out because that was a concern of mine.
Okay, well, with that said, meeting adjourned at 7:16. Thank you all for